The crypto thing's interesting because Justin's been in it for a long time and now it's his full time. It's like his life. But it is, I've thought about it too. And there's just the part of it that feels, I don't know. And even in some conversations where we're talking about stocks, I'm like, for me, the energy behind this feels like just a money grab. And it doesn't feel energetically like it feels aligned to me.
Totally.
But then you feel like you're missing out. You're like, oh, I'm missing out. And that's what I thought about with some of the NFTs that I was going to buy. I'm like, I literally had this one NFT. It was like 3,000. It was like an ETH at the time. And I was like, oh, I'm going to buy this. And then I was literally about to buy. I'm like, I literally don't give a fuck about this. What am I going to do? Put this in my wallet and be like, hey, everyone. And now it's like $36,000. But then I'm like, what's the energy? I was like, what would I love to invest in? What would I truthfully love to invest my energy in? And yes, I have crypto and I have normal stocks, but it's hard to figure out what that place is. And I think a lot of women especially think about that because we like to invest with our hearts, with intention.
100%.
You know?
And you know what? I don't know. Have you guys ever heard of investing with Rose on YouTube?
No.
My favorite. I have learned most of my financial education. And you know Rose is onto something when you're, 75-year-old retired Scorpio CFO dad is like, hey, there's this girl in the Wall Street Journal. I think you might. So she's essentially like a financial influencer. She has an amazing YouTube channel. I've learned so much from her. I actually just watched a video of hers the other day about she's very, very into cryptocurrency and Bitcoin and options trading and all the things. And she basically was saying is 8-minute video, highly recommended. It's a pretty recent video. And she was like, look, like you cannot look at cryptocurrency as like a grab and go. If you're just there to make money, she's like, you really must be behind the movement of why it is, because that's what is going to keep you in for the volatility, in for the long haul. And I think that what's exciting about women getting more activated around finance is that we kind of naturally, and I won't speak for all women, I'll speak for myself. I know that I bring what it is that I want to see for the world through the way that I utilize money. Investments are still very new for me. I'm actually writing my book right now called Heal Your Money. And there's a little chapter on investing. And I'm like, look, I don't need you to think I'm like some advanced investor. I'm not. I'm very beginning. I'm very simple. But it also gets to be that way. I think sometimes we overcomplicate these things. And really, we have to look at the why of why we're doing them. But I think that these tools and why I'm so passionate about financial empowerment, financial literacy is because money is a neutral tool. So it literally, it reflects the consciousness of the person using it. And what's exciting is that as we move through the process of getting to know money and getting to know what I like to call the rules of engagement around money, I mean, I think it's exciting what we can do. So, but Krista, you guys know, I know your astrology. So when I hear you say certain things, I'm like, well, that's your Capricorn Sally I'm talking.
I'm like, I'm going to invest in Zach Bush.
I know. Yeah, the simplicity is really powerful because I think women have a tendency, or maybe, I mean, you've done an episode on this, just the comparison thing where it can really put us at a disadvantage to kind of look around and be like, oh shoot, I'm behind, or oh shoot, she knows how to do this better than I do, or he knows how to do this better than I do.
Yes.
And when the simplicity of it, I think, brings forth kind of the purity of the energy you want to put into it rather than overcomplicating and then creating all this static around it. So I really love that. What has been like, especially around crypto and kind of the new money and new currency that's coming about, one simple either practice or rule for yourself that you've loved and has been able to kind of ground you in moving forward and investing and creating wealth around that?
I love that. I mean, very simply, like I teach money management, which I'm sure we'll chat about today.
Wait.
You guys know it's my favorite thing. And it's just been, I know if you would have asked me even 5 years ago if I would be talking about money management all the time and assisting women with money management, I would have been like, who are you referring to? Because that's not me at all. But, first things first. So there's a concept, I'm sure maybe some of your babes listening have heard this, maybe not, but it's the concept of paying yourself first. The reason I love money management is that very often we're all functioning out of one or two bank accounts. Number one, that's overwhelming. Number two, it does not lead to clarity. And what's so exciting, and you guys, if I say exciting 65 times, it's because I'm literally very excited about everything. And that's very much my astrology too. Yes. I'm an Aries, Sag moon. I get really activated and I'm extremely optimistic. And I don't believe that my optimism is unfounded. I think you need optimism to make big changes, not only in yourself, but also to assist others. So what I'll say about money management that is just magnificent is when you're functioning out of multiple accounts, you create clarity. You give your money a job. I won't go into that right now, but one of the accounts, it needs to be for you. It needs to be for your future. It needs to be for your groundedness. You might put $1 a week into that. You might put 25% of your take-home pay into that. But the reason why you want to have that money that just stays with you is because then that's the basis of your investing. And when I first learned about money management, that was the first thing that I learned. When I was young, actually, it's very interesting. My grandparents were very into making sure, my parents too, but my grandparents on a whole other level. My grandma was very into Susie Orman. My grandpa used to make me watch like finance videos. He'd be like, well, if you want to go to the mall, because he liked to take me to the mall. God bless him, loved it. And he'd be like, if you want to go to the mall, you have to watch this finance video. And I remember sitting there, I'm like 12 years old with like my brow furled. And I was just like, but I never forgot it. And looking back at it, they knew what they were doing. They were, even if I wasn't into it then, they were planting the seeds for me to have a clear and more respectful relationship with money. It took me very long to get there. I mean, I was 31 when I started taking care of my finances. I'm about to be 35 in a couple months. So it took me a minute. But the reason I mention money management and having this account for yourself is because if you bring in, let's say, your take-home pay from your business or your job or whatever, and everything just goes straight to bills, which for many of us, that's how it can go. But what I challenge you to do is to take just a little bit and make sure it's for you. Because what you can do as you learn the tools of investing is you can literally, through a very magnificent little tool that we have the privilege of experiencing, it's called compound interest. And the truth is that is how wealth is created. And the very cool thing as well is that as you get to know investing, as you get to know, and I'm still learning, so I cannot speak much to it, but as you get to know it, as you get to know the tool and you educate yourself, there's so many free resources. Like Investing with Rose is where I've learned most of my stuff. What's so awesome is that you can then make your money work for you. Because when we're in the constant like time for pay, of course, that's beautiful on a lot of levels. It's great. It's a privilege. And I also am so passionate about how can we make money work for us? Because the truth is, the more money that we have access to, the better we can do in the world. Now, this doesn't mean that you're making money and it all has to go to all of these different things, because as we know, there's plenty of things that we'd probably like to fund and assist. You stabilize yourself first, and through money management and perhaps even through the tool of investing, if that's something you choose to do, you can create stabilization in your life. And if we take it to like an energetic level, when your root chakra, when your lower chakra, when you feel stabilized and connected and taken care of in your life, it is so natural to be in overflow. It is natural to want to give to others. It's natural to want to take care of people. When I was broke and could barely pay my rent and was always worrying about eating, how was I ever looking out beyond myself? And so although that wasn't my initial desire to create financial empowerment, it's not like it was altruistic, but it's become that way because I believe so strongly, like you can only get so much stuff before it just only feels like the natural, organic next best thing to do, but to assist other people. And something I've noticed about extremely wealthy individuals, they almost all teach financial literacy. And I feel like I went in 16 different directions with your question, but yeah, it's important just to speak to all of this. I feel like it all goes together.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Morning Microdose by Almost 30.
We hope you enjoyed waking up.
As always, we encourage you to take what resonates and leave the rest. If you enjoyed this trip, tune into the full episode on the Almost 30 podcast. All episode information can be found in the show notes.
Make sure to subscribe, and if this becomes a part of your morning routine, be sure to share it with a friend. We have new inspiring doses Monday through Friday. Follow us on Instagram at Morning Microdose, and follow Almost 30 at Almost 30 Podcast.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you in the vortex.